Hi everybody, it's Brad with the Big Family Homestead, and in this video I have a question and would like to open some dialogue as to whether or not our electoral system is broken or corrupt or whatever the heck it might be. So let's get to it. Okay, now before I get started, this is not going to be a I endorse this candidate, that candidate, or whatever kind of video. So please don't think that I'm out here going to be stomping and trumping or not trumping or any of that nonsense. I'm not endorsing a single candidate, but I want to just take a moment to open the dialogue with you guys. Comment in the section down below. Please let your voice be heard on this topic, and that is this: how we get our candidates. When we get to a presidential election, you generally have two candidates. Sometimes every once in a while you get a third, but it's not very common. And basically you've got the parties. And right now, the way that the major parties are the Republicans and the Democrats. But the way that those candidates are picked varies because you have these delegates, right? And people go out and they caucus and they root for their guy and / or girl. And then they decide, these delegates decide per state who they want to back as the R candidate or the D candidate. Now, that's all well and good, but each state, number one, has its own rules on how they're going to pick this aforementioned candidate. Well, and then each one gets a little more and more muddled. And then you have situations like we just did with Colorado, where the people didn't even have a chance to vote before the delegates casted their delegates to whomever candidate they wanted. Now that, and you combine it with the idea of super delegates, where they can control much more power and weight to put behind a certain candidate or not a certain candidate, and then you figure into the whole process that those delegates can legally be kind of paid off. I mean, they can be given trips and they can be given vacations, they can be given all kinds of stuff legally to quote unquote secure a delegate's position for a certain candidate. Now, if that ain't shady enough, these parties can rewrite the rules anytime they want. And then you've got the situation where in order to get an endorsement, you have to get to a certain number of candidates or delegates, sorry, and then you'll be the guy and / or girl. Well, then you combine all that with the situation like if you're looking at the Democrat side of things. Well, Bernie is mopping Hillary over the coals in terms of the popular vote, but Hillary's getting all the delegates. So something smells fishy in Denmark over there. And then over on the Republican side of things, you got Cruz and Trump. And basically, Cruz is following the rules in terms of each state and going the route of, I'm not going to worry so much about this state in terms of popular vote. I'm going to get the delegates. And then Trump getting railed on because he believes that the popular vote was not basically honored and the delegates were handed out wrongly. Now, once again, just pause, stop what you're commenting right now. I'm not endorsing a candidate or not endorsing. I'm not saying one's good or bad or nothing. We're talking about the process. It seems to me that this process is absolutely corrupt. That it's no big secret that those who are in power want to stay in power and they don't want to give it up, and especially not for somebody who's an outsider or somebody they don't like. And I'm sitting here watching this happen, and I don't know what, I must be into like self-hate because I watch this stuff and I can't believe my eyes that this country that I have grown up in, that I love, is so clearly backwards when it comes to basic things like we the people. Where is our say? The people of Colorado were not represented. They basically got screwed. And, their vote doesn't matter. And you look around to each different state and each different rules and all the ways that these people who are in power keep themselves in power, and they do it with such shady dealings. And now it's gotten to the point where you've got this the election is at a fevered pitch almost, and you got your Trump and Cruz war going on over here, and then you got your your Bernie and Hillary war going on over on the other side. And these people who are in control, I think they quickly realize they're not, this is getting way out of control, and they're getting more and more bold and brazen about it. And I just want to hear your opinion, because I think it needs a fundamental restructuring. I think it's absolutely wrong the way that these, candidates are decided. And I've always for the past, at least last 10 years, when it comes time to vote, I've often thought to myself, just scratching my head going, now wait a minute. Out of all the intelligent, bright, smart, caring, good leader people that are in our country, I got to pick from these two boobs? Really? Like, there's nobody better. There's nobody more qualified. And now that I'm finally starting to pay attention to how the candidates are picked, I'm beginning to understand. And it's very, 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 it's jarring. I had more faith in the country than it seems. Well, it's a little bit depressing. And I personally, so make sure you voice your opinion, but I personally think that the way that these people are picked is absolutely just as important as the main election. Because it seems to me, you've got people that are way in power up here that are changing the rules and rigging everything so that whomever gets elected, either side are people that they picked anyway. So either side is bought and paid for by this establishment, for lack of a better term. And I think it's wrong. I think it needs to stop. And I want to hear your opinion. So don't get all too hot. I'm not electing, we're not endorsing anybody, so don't get all freaky. And please don't, actually listen, please don't, stump for your candidate. That's not what this is about. I'm talking about the process. So there you have it. Brad with the Big Family Homestead, Bee in my bonnet, officially gone. Hopefully we can make some constructive comments out of this. And maybe if we talk about it loud and long enough, maybe change can happen. I am still a hopeful guy. Hope to continue that way, and I hope you are too. You guys have an amazing day.